Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about some of the new features found in Qimage Ultimate related to 3D photos. The latest version of Qimage Ultimate supports 3D photos. You can see here the new MPO format that's being displayed in the thumbnails. That's multi-picture object. That's what most of the new devices that shoot 3D will produce. They're now available in the thumbnails. There's a single view here, usually from the left side lens, that's also a JPEG format. That's how most of the 3D cameras shoot. So you see the multi-picture object here and the single lens next to it. Well, obviously for this video we're interested in the MPO files. Those are your 3D pictures. Let me point out now that there are some new menu items related to 3D photography. If you go to Edit, Preferences, and then Include File Types, you see that there's a new file type here for the MPO or the 3D format. If you don't want to show that format for some reason, you can uncheck the MPO format and then watch the MPOs here in the background. As soon as I click OK, they go away. If you want to bring them back to view them, you just turn it back on, and now you get, by default it's on, so there's really no reason you should need to fool with that unless you're having some kind of problem with your MPO format on your camera. There's one other preference here, and it's under 3D photo options. You go to Edit, Preferences, and then the 3D photo options. Over here you can see that there's a choice for parallel view or cross view, and if you're not sure what that is, you can look it up. The parallel view is basically where you can relax your eyes and focus at a distance until an image comes together in the center, and that will be 3D. To me, that's a little more difficult to do because it's difficult to focus your eyes up close with your eyes set at a distance. You're also limited to very small photos when you do that. The cross view is basically when you cross your eyes and the left becomes the right and the right becomes the left. To me, that's a lot more versatile. If you learn how to do it, it's pretty easy to do, and you can view photos as large as your screen if you want to and get the 3D effect out of it. Right now I've got it set to cross view. I'm going to leave it at that. For printing, if you want to print 3D photos and you have a 3D viewer, like one of the little plastic or wooden viewers that has lenses in it, you're going to want to use the parallel view. The parallel view is the default. That is set that way because a lot of people want to use a 3D viewer to view prints, and you want the left and the right on the proper sides when you do that. Cross view is more for what we call free viewing, where you can just print the photos and free view with no viewer by just creatively crossing your eyes until you get the image in the center. So that's enough on the options. The other thing that's worthy of showing you is the way that we crop. When we crop 3D photos, we don't want to double click and go into the image editor and crop here because you're really going to want to crop when you print. The 3D photos being left and right are two images that need to be synced together. You really need to crop when you print. You can crop in here right now, but I wouldn't recommend it. You can do anything else. You can brighten, contrast, do whatever you want with the photos. I just would not recommend cropping in the image editor. We're going to crop on the page. And now I've set my 3D viewer that I use is a smaller one. I have my size right now. Let me hold the right mouse button set to 3.5 by 5. Now I want to point out something here. If I have my size set to 3.5 by 5 and I add this photo to the queue, look what happens to it. You can see that a lot of the photo is chopped off because in my preferences I have it set to crop to exactly a 3.5 by 5. Now obviously with two images being side by side, if you crop to 3.5 by 5, you're going to lose some of the photo because you're splitting that 3.5 by 5 into two sections. That's okay if you want to do it that way. We can go into the page editor here and look how the crop works. When you're working with the crop, I can slide this photo, and you notice that the two photos slide and crop separately. So that's a really cool way to adjust your crop. You can even zoom in here if you want to a little bit, and notice that the crops, what it's doing here is it's cropping the same section out of the left and the right side images separately. So you can slide them wherever you want and you're still going to get a proper 3D photo. That's just showing you here that the crop tool is designed to handle the 3D photos and crop them properly by just clicking and dragging. What you're doing here is you're just clicking and dragging the crop that is going to apply to this print. And if you're happy with that, just click done and you can print that. Now I'm going to remove the crop here. What I'm going to show you here is if I select this print and I turn the print cropping off, what it does is your print is still 5 inches wide, but it's only 1.87 inches tall, as you can see here in the info. And the reason, again, is because you have two photos side by side, and now you've got the entire photo that will print without any cropping. And that's usually the best way to do it if you're going to print the photo out. I wouldn't recommend making it conform to a 4:6 or a 3.5 by 5 because you do lose so much of the photo. Just if you set it to 4:6, for example, let me do that now. It auto-rotated because that's the best rotation on the page, but let me click it back here. There we go. I want to mention here that if you're printing this 3D photo to be viewed in a 3D viewer, such as one of the plastic or wooden viewers that has lenses on the front, those are set up for parallel view. So you got to make sure that the left photo is on the left side and the right photo is on the right side. We do that by going to Edit, Preferences, 3D Photo Options, and then clicking on Parallel here at the top before we print. That will ensure that the left photos on the left and the right photos on the right. The other thing to keep in mind for 3D viewers is that the width that you print here is usually dependent on how far apart your eyes are. So if you take a ruler and in a mirror you measure the distance between the pupils on your eyes and double it, you'll usually get a pretty good print for viewing in a 3D viewer. At least you can start with that. If you don't want to mess with that and you want to just start with something, try somewhere around 5 to 5.25 inches for the width. Put that in your 3D viewer and see how that looks. You can always modify it from there. Once you get the width for your viewer correct and the 3D photo looks good, everything meshes up, then obviously you can save that size in the list here or create a layout for it, whatever you want to do. Once you get the size right, you'll know it from that point forward. And the option for parallel view in the menu obviously sticks, so if that's how you typically print, it should be pretty easy. You can see here this is a 4:6 size with the crop off, so you're going to get a 6-inch wide by 2.25 inch tall. Now if we make that a 4:6 by cropping it, as you can see, again, it crops off quite a bit of the photo. Yes, you do get a 4:6 print, which is nice to hold and everything, but you can see the trade-off here is that you do have a cropped photo. Of course, again, I go into the page editor, I can drag this over a little bit to get a better crop, and that's still 3D. In fact, if you want to pause the video right now, and if you're familiar with the cross viewing, if you do the cross view right now, you should be able to see a 3D photo out of that because I've got it set up for cross view. That's about it. There will be more features coming in the 3D arena, but for right now, this should get you started. It'll let you be able to print your 3D photos, work with your 3D photos, preview them, and so on. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you next time.